Hello again. Well, today I want to try to put together the sort of riveted metal plate finish and the flames finish in one sort of project, if you like. I sprayed this steel plate with some primer and some white, and I'm going to rough it up. I'm going to sand it a little bit with the 800 grade wet and dry paper. So as I said before, this is not intended to be a tutorial video. I am just a beginner. If you are looking for a tutorial video, there are plenty on YouTube which will show you much better than this how to do it. This is just a log of my progress so far. There you go, I've sanded that down. It's actually left some little marks on this paint. This paint is just cheap paint from the pound shop. Because I'm doing a sort of rough metal finish, I don't think that really matters. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and spray the background on now. Because I'm going to be taping things onto the paint that we've already done, I'm going to give it a coat of Intercoat Clear, which I think is probably necessary to stop the masking tape damaging the paintwork. I had a few problems with that Intercoat Clear flowing right, but I've also realised that I've forgotten a little part of the design, so I need to go back and add that anyway. But first I think I'm going to give the airbrush a bit of a clean. Well, that's that done, and another coat of Intercoat Clear added. I had a bit of trouble with that. It seems to be very thick. Had to thin it down quite a lot to get it to flow out of the airbrush. I've left it to dry for quite a while I went and had a sandwich, so hopefully that'll work. Now the idea is to have a sort of a flaming vent sort of thing, if that makes any sense. And I'm going to make a template to spray the pattern of the vent next. Oh well, hopefully you can see that looks at least a little bit like a vent. Next time I've got some black in the gun, I'll just get rid of this little hazy bit here, try and make that a little bit more defined, and I'll soften the edge up there. I might go ahead and just soften this edge that's highlighted here. I'll put a little highlight on the edge of there, what would be quite a sharp edge in reality. I'll also give this little area here where the vent is another coat of Intercoat Clear, just to be sure when I mask up the joints in the plates. Well, for the stencil for the rivets, I'm going to try cutting around this €1 coin, which seems to be, I don't know, about the right size-ish, I suppose. Maybe it's a bit big, but I think if I try and cut around anything too small, it's going to be difficult to make it a proper circle. Oh, I've tested it out, and that seemed to work a lot better than the one that I made, which was through a little bit of thin MDF, but the MDF was still quite thick and it was difficult to get the spray into the corners there. The other advantage of this is I can make some lines with the pens on the stencil, so I can line it up accurately with the joints on the plates and get the rivets in consistent places. You may have spotted there I missed one of the rivets, so I had to go back and put it in afterwards. Anyway, now it's time to add the rust. Well, as you can see, I've also, as well as the rust, added a bit of sootiness in the black, just to show where the flames are going to go, and also should help them stand out a little bit as well. So there we go, there's the finished article. I've given it a couple of coats of clear lacquer. There's a few bits I'm not that happy with. I think the shadow around the rivets could have been done a bit better. I think I did a bit better at that on some of the earlier versions. But anyway, it was good practice and I enjoyed doing it. So Any comments or criticisms gratefully received. Well, that's all for now. If you enjoyed it, press like. Subscribe if you want to see some more. And ring the bell to be notified when we upload something new.